जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद। जय अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंद। जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद। जय अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंद। Reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrut, Madhya Leela, chapter 14, 27. Chapter 14, performance of the Vrindavan pastimes. So, yesterday we saw Lord Chaitanya and his devotees. They had a great dancing in front of Rathayatra car, and when the offering time came, the Ratha stopped, and then Lord went to a nearby Balagundi gardens to take a rest. And this chapter will detail the pastimes of Lord there. Okay. Accompanied by his personal devotees, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to the festival known as Lakshmi Vijayotsava. There he discussed the super excellent love of the gopis. Just by hearing about them, he became very pleased and danced in great ecstatic love for the Lord. All glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, known as Gaura Chandra. All glories to Lord Nityananda Prabhu. All glories to Advaita Acharya, who is so exalted. All glories to the devotees headed by Srivas Thakur. All glories to the readers who have taken Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as their life and soul. There are kind of 4 important sections in this chapter. First, Lord taking rest and King Prataprudra going and serving Lord. Then the exchange between King Prataprudra and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then third is devotees honoring Prasadam. Then fourth is Lord's observance of the return Rathayatra. And then the pastimes of Mother Lakshmi getting angry with Lord Jagannath. So, while Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was resting in ecstatic love, Maharaj Prataprudra entered the garden. Following Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya's instructions, the king had given up his royal dress. He now entered the garden in the dress of a Vaishnava. Maharaj Prataprudra was so humble that with folded hands he first took permission from all the devotees. Then with great courage he fell down and touched the lotus feet of the Lord. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu lay on the raised platform with his eyes closed in ecstatic love and emotion, the king very expertly began to massage his legs. The king began to recite verses from the Rasa Leela from Srimad Bhagavatam. He recited the chapter beginning with the words Jayati Tedhikam. That's 31st chapter. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard these verses, he was pleased beyond limits. And he said again and again, "Go on reciting, go on reciting." As soon as king recited the verse beginning with the words Tava Kathamrutam, the Lord arose in ecstatic love and embraced him. Upon hearing the verse recited by the king, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "You have given me invaluable gems, but I have nothing to give you in return. Therefore, I simply embrace you." After saying this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to recite the same verse again and again. Both the king and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were trembling, and tears were flowing from their eyes. We can try to recite together. Tava kathamrutam tapta jivanam kavibhireditam kalmashapaham Shravanamangalam Srimadattatam Bhuvi Grannantiye Vibhuridha Janaha. My Lord, the nectar of your words and the descriptions of your activities are the life and soul of those who are always aggravated in this material world. Aggrieved in this material world. These narrations are transmitted by exalted personalities and they eradicate all sinful reactions. Whoever hears these narrations attains all good fortune. These narrations are broadcast all over the world and are filled with spiritual power. Those who spread the message of Godhead are certainly the most munificent welfare workers. After reciting this verse, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu immediately embraced the king and cried, "You are the most munificent, you are the most munificent." At this point, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not know who the king was. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy was aroused because of the king's previous service. Therefore, without even asking who he was, the Lord immediately bestowed his mercy upon him. So we saw saw King Prataparudra serving very humbly, cleaning in front of the cart, and that's what had attracted the mercy. So that's what Prabhupada is referring here. How powerful is the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Without even inquiring about the king, the Lord made everything successful. So we know that king had tried to meet Lord Chaitanya many times, but he had outrightly rejected. Even just on the same day when Lord was dancing in front of Rathayatra cart and he fell and king caught him. He said, chichi, it's like he said, hey, I have been touched by materialistic. So he rebuked the king. But, then internally he was pleased with his service, because of which he gave the mercy, and then without even inquiring. That's what, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is saying here. Finally, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "Who are you? You have done so much for me. All of a sudden you have come here and made me drink the nectar of the pastimes of the Lord." This is beautiful words actually. King Prataparudra did not say, "I am King Prataparudra," by the way. What he said? "Raja kahe tomar das ranudas, bhruttera bhrutte kara yei moras." The king replied, "My Lord, I am the most obedient servant of your servants. It is my ambition that you will accept me as the servant of your servants." So, Prabhupada is quoting Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj and Sridhar Kolavich in the purport, that how all the exalted devotees, they just want to be the servant of Lord. In prayers of Vrutrasur, Aham Hare Tava Padaika Moolam Dasa Anudaso Bhavita Asma Bhuya. The purport, Prabhupada writes the first sentence. This is the essence of devotional service, to become servant of the Lord. It's very beautiful purport. At that time, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu displayed some of his divine opulences to the king, and he forbade him to disclose this to anyone. Although within his heart, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu knew everything that was happening, externally he did not disclose it, nor did he disclose that he knew he was talking with King Prataparudra. Seeing the Lord's special mercy upon the king, the devotees praised the king's good fortune, and their minds became open and blissful. Another important purport, Srila Prabhupada is talking about how a devotee is never envious about other devotees' success. And in purport he quotes himself that there are so-called Vaishnavas who are not ready to accept the service which we have done of spreading the Krishna consciousness movement. And then he very humbly writes actually, by Lord Chaitanya's empowerment, one is able to spread, and some envious people are not ready to accept this. They are criticizing. So again, beautiful purport. Submissively offering prayers to the devotees with folded hands and offering obeisances to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the king went outside. After this, Vaninath Rai brought all kinds of prasadam, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted lunch with the devotees. The king also sent large quantities of prasadam through Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya, Ramananda Rai, and Vaninath Rai. The prasadam sent by the king had been offered at the Balagandi festival and included uncooked milk products and fruits. It was all of finest quality, and there was no end to the variety. Now, few verses is description of prasadam. There were curd, fruit juice, coconut, mango, dried coconut, jackfruit, various kinds of bananas, and palm fruit seeds. There were also oranges, grapefruit, tangerines, almonds, dried fruit, raisins, and dates. There were hundreds of different types of sweetmeats like Manohara Laddu, sweets like Amruta Gutika, and various types of condensed milk. There are also papayas and saraswati, a type of orange, and also crushed squash. There were also regular cream, fried cream, and a type of puri made with cream. There were also the sweets known as Harivallabha and sweets made of sinoti flowers, karpura flowers, and malati flowers. There were pomegranates, sweets made with black pepper, sweets made with first sugar, and amriti jilipi. There were lotus flower sugar, kind of bread made from urad dal, crispy sweetmeats, sugar candy, fried rice sweets, sesame seed sweets, and cookies made from sesame seeds. There were sugar candy sweetmeats formed into shape of orange, lemon, and mango trees, and arranged with fruits, flowers, and leaves. There were yogurt, milk, butter, buttermilk, fruit juice, a preparation made of fried yogurt and sugar candy, and salty moong dal sprouts with shredded ginger. There are also various types of pickles, lemon pickle, berry pickle, and so on. Indeed, I am not able to describe the variety of food offered to Lord Jagannath. So, I think in one of the purports, Srila Prabhupada mentions Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami himself was a good cook, because of which he could mention in detail, all these items. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw half the garden filled with variety of prasadam, he was very satisfied. Indeed, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was fully satisfied just to see how Lord Jagannath accepted all the food. There then arrived 5 or 7 loads of plates made of the leaves of Ketaki tree. Each man was supplied 10 of these plates, and in this way the leaf dishes were distributed. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu understood the labor of all the kirtan chanters. Therefore, he was very eager to feed them sumptuously. All the devotees sat down in lines, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally began to distribute the prasadam. But the devotees would not accept the prasadam until Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took it. Swarup Damodar informed the Lord of this. Swarup Damodar said, "My Lord, please sit down to eat. No one will eat until you do." At that time, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sat down with his personal associates and had every one of them fed very sumptuously until they were filled to the necks. After finishing, the Lord washed his mouth and sat down. There was so much extra prasadam that it was distributed to thousands. Following the orders of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Govinda, his personal servant, called for all the poor beggars who were unhappy due to their poverty and fed them sumptuously. Observing the beggars eating prasadam, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chanted Hari Bol and instructed them to chant the holy name. Again, beautiful purport for this verse. As soon as the beggars chanted the holy name, Hari Bol, they were immediately absorbed in ecstatic love of Godhead. In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performed wonderful pastimes. Outside the garden, when it was time to pull Jagannath's car, all the workers called Gaudas tried to pull it, but it would not move forward. When the Gaudas saw that they could not budge the car, they abandoned the attempt. Then the king arrived in great anxiety and he was accompanied by his officers and friends. The king then arranged for big wrestlers to try to pull the car, and even the king himself joined in, but the car could not be moved. Becoming even more anxious to move the car, the king had very strong elephants brought forth and harnessed to it. The strong elephants pulled with all their strength, but still the car remained at a standstill, not budging an inch. So this, how Lord, if He wants, He'll go. If He doesn't want, He doesn't go. That's as soon as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard this news, he went there with all his personal associates. They then stood there and watched the elephants try to pull the car. The elephants, being beaten by the elephant god, were crying, but still the car would not move. The assembled people cried out, "Alas!" At that time, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu let all the elephants go free and placed the car's ropes in the hands of his own men. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then went to the back of the car and began to push with his head. It was then that the car began to move and roll along, making a rattling sound. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai! Indeed, the car began to move automatically, and the devotees simply carried the ropes in their hands. Since it was moving effortlessly, they did not need to pull it. When the car moved forward, everyone began to chant with great pleasures, all glories, and all glories to Lord Jagannath." No one could hear anything else. In a moment, the car reached the door of Gundicha temple. Upon seeing the uncommon strength of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all the people were struck with wonder. The crowd made a tumultuous vibration, chanting, "Jaya Gaurachandra, Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Jaya Gaurachandra, Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya." Then the people began to chant, "Wonderful, wonderful." Seeing the greatness of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Prataprudra Maharaj and his ministers and friends were so moved by ecstatic love that their hair on their bodies stood on end. All the servants of Lord Jagannath then took him down from the car, and the Lord went to sit on his throne. Subhadra and Balaram also sat on their respective thrones. There followed the bathing of Lord Jagannath and finally the offering of food. While Lord Jagannath, Lord Balaram and Subhadra sat on their respective thrones, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his devotees began to perform Sankirtana with great pleasure, chanting and dancing in the yard of the temple. While Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was chanting and dancing, he was overwhelmed with ecstatic love, and all the people who saw him were also flooded in the ocean of love of Godhead. In the evening, after finishing his dancing in the yard of the Gundicha temple, the Lord observed the Arati ceremony. Thereafter he went to the place called Aitota and took rest for the night. For 9 days, 9 chief devotees headed by Advaita Acharya got an opportunity to invite the Lord to their homes. During the 4 months of the rainy season, the remaining devotees extended invitation to the Lord for 1 day each. In this way, they shared invitations. For the 4-month period, all the daily invitations were shared among the important devotees. The rest of the devotees did not get an opportunity to extend an invitation to the Lord. Since they could not get 1 day each, 2 or 3 devotees combined to extend an invitation. These are the pastimes of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's acceptance of invitations. After taking his bath early in the morning, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would go to see Lord Jagannath in the temple. Then he would perform Sankirtan with his devotees. By chanting and dancing, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu induced Advaita Acharya to dance. Sometimes he induced Nityananda Prabhu, Haridas Thakur and Achyutananda to dance. Sometimes Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu engaged Vakreshwar and other devotees in chanting and dancing. 3 times daily, morning, noon and evening, he would perform Sankirtan in the yard of Gundicha temple. At this time, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu felt that Lord Krishna had returned to Vrindavan. Thinking this, his feelings of separation from Krishna subsided. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was always thinking of the pastimes of Radha and Krishna, and he remained personally merged in this consciousness. There were many gardens near the Gundicha temple, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his devotees used to perform the pastimes of Vrindavan in each of them. In the lake named Indrajumna, he sported in the waters. So, following couple of verses are water pastimes. The Lord personally splashed all the devotees with water, and the devotees surrounding him on all sides also splashed the Lord. While in the water, they sometimes formed one circle and sometimes many circles. And while in the water, they used to play cymbals and imitate the croaking of frogs. Sometimes two would pair off to fight in the water. One would emerge victorious and the other defeated, and the Lord would watch all this fun. The first sporting took place between Advaita Acharya and Nityananda Prabhu, who threw water upon each other. Advaita Acharya was defeated, and he later began to rebuke Nityananda Prabhu, calling him ill names. Swarup Damodar and Vidyanidhi also threw water upon each other, and Murari Gupta and Vasudev Datta also sported in that way. Just on the last verse, it's always been duel between Advaita Acharya and Nityananda Prabhu. There is pastime of they taking prasad together, and there has been duel. Another duel took place between Srivas Thakur and Gadadhar Pandit, and yet another between Raghav Pandit and Vakreshwar Pandit. Thus they all engaged in throwing water. Indeed, Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya engaged in water sports with Sri Ramananda Rai, and they both lost their gravity and became like children. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw the exuberance of Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya and Ramananda Rai, he smiled and spoke to Gopinath Acharya. Tell the Bhattacharya and Ramananda Rai to stop their childish play, because they are both learned scholars and very grave and great personalities. Yeah, one was governor and one was, in charge of, temple. Gopinath Acharya replied, I believe that one drop of the ocean of your great mercy has swelled up upon them. A drop from the ocean of your mercy can draw great mountains like Sumeru and Mandara. Since these two gentlemen are little hills by comparison, it is no wonder that they are being drowned in the ocean of your mercy. This is a beautiful verse now. He gives a nice analogy. Logic is like a dry oil cake from which all the oil has been extracted. The Bhattacharya passed his life in eating such dry cakes. But now you have made him drink the nectar of transcendental pastime. It is certainly your great mercy upon him. After Gopinath Acharya finished talking, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu smiled and calling for Advaita Acharya, made him act like a Sheshanag bed. Laying down on Advaita Prabhu, who was floating on the water, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu demonstrated the pastime of Sheshashayi Vishnu. Manifesting his personal potency, Advaita Acharya floated about the water, carrying Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Remember, Advaita Acharya was old man, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was young sannyasi, but still he could float and with a lot on top. So, of course, their pastimes. After sporting in the water for some time, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned to his place at Aitota, accompanied by his devotees. Paramananda Puri, Brahmananda Bharati and all other chief devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took lunch at the invitation of Advaita Acharya. Whatever extra prasadam was brought by Vaninath Rai was taken by the other associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In the afternoon, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to the Gundicha temple to visit the Lord and dance. At night, he went to garden to take rest. The next day, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also went to the temple of Gundicha and saw the Lord. He then chanted and danced in the yard for some time. Accompanied by his devotees, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then went into the garden and enjoyed the pastimes of Vrindavan. There were multifarious trees and creepers in the garden, and they were all jubilant to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Indeed, the birds were chirping, the bees were buzzing, bzzz, and a cool breeze was blowing. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu danced beneath each and every tree, Vasudeva Dutt sang along. As Vasudeva Dutt sang a different song beneath each and every tree, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu danced there alone in great ecstasy. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then ordered Vakreshwar Pandit to dance, and as he began to dance, the Lord began to sing. Then devotees like Swarup Damodar and other kirtan performers began to sing along with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Being inundated with ecstatic love, they lost all consideration of time and circumstance. After thus performing pastimes in the garden for some time, they all went to the lake called Narendra Sarovar and there enjoyed sporting in the water. After sporting in the water, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned to the garden and accepted prasadam with the devotees. For 9 continuous days, His Lordship Sri Jagannath Dev stayed at Gundicha temple. During this time, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also stayed there and performed the pastimes with his devotees that have already been described. The garden of his pastimes was very large and was named Jagannath Vallabh. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took his rest there for 9 days. Knowing that the Hera Panchami festival was drawing near, King Prataparudra attentively talked with Kashi Mishra. Tomorrow will be the function of Hera Panchami or Lakshmi Vijaya. Hold this festival in a way that it has never been held before. King Prataparudra said, hold this festival in such a gorgeous way that upon seeing it, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will be completely pleased and astonished. Take as many printed clothes, small bells, umbrellas and chamaras as there are in my storehouse and in deity's storehouse. Collect all kinds of small and large flags and ringing bells. Then decorate the carrier and have various musical and dancing parties accompany it. In this way, decorate the carrier attractively. You should also double the quantity of prasadam. Make so much that it will even surpass the Rath Yatra festival. Arrange the festival in such a way that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu may freely go with all his devotees to visit the deity without difficulty. In the morning, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took his personal associates with him to see Lord Jagannath at Sundarachal. So Gundicha temple is also called as Sundarachal and main temple is called as Nilachal. Then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his personal devotees returned to Nilachal with great eagerness to see the Hera Panchami festival. Kashi Mishra received Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with great respect and taking the Lord and his associates to a very nice place, he had them seated. After taking his seat, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to hear about a particular mellow of devotional service. Therefore, mildly smiling, he began to question Swarup Damodar. Although Lord Jagannath enjoys his pastimes at Dwarka Dham and naturally manifests sublime liberty there, still once a year he becomes unlimitedly eager to see Vrindavan. Pointing out the neighboring gardens, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, all these gardens exactly resemble Vrindavan. Therefore, Lord Jagannath is very eager to see them again. Externally, he gives the excuse that he wants to participate in the Rath Yatra festival. But actually he wants to leave Jagannath Puri to go to Sundarachal, the Gundicha temple, a replica of Vrindavan. The Lord enjoys his pastimes day and night in various flower gardens there. But why does he not take Lakshmi Devi, the goddess of fortune, with him? Swarup Damodar replied, my dear Lord, please hear the reason for this. Lakshmi Devi, the goddess of fortune, cannot be admitted to the pastimes of Vrindavan. In the pastimes of Vrindavan, the only assistants are the gopis. But for the gopis, no one can attract the mind of Krishna. The Lord said, using the car festival as an excuse, Krishna goes there with Subhadra and Baladev. All the pastime with the gopis that take place in those gardens are very confidential ecstasies of Lord Krishna. No one knows them. Since there is no fault at all in Krishna's pastime, why does the goddess of fortune become angry? Swarup Damodar replied, it is the nature of a girl afflicted by love to become immediately angry upon finding any neglect on the part of her lover. While Swarup Damodar and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were talking, the procession of Goddess of Fortune came by. She was riding upon a golden palanquin carried by 4 men and bedecked with variety of jewels. The palanquin was also surrounded by people carrying umbrellas, chamaras, whisks, and flags, and it was preceded by musicians and dancing girls. The maidservants were carrying water pitchers, chamara whisks, and boxes of betel nuts. There were hundreds of maidservants, all attractively dressed and wearing valuable necklaces. In an angry mood, the goddess of fortune arrived in the main gate of the temple, accompanied by the many members of her family, all of whom exhibited uncommon opulence. So this is exactly the opposite how Lord comes out. He is with, the devotees are pulling him on those, nice tuliyas. We saw that, in yesterday description. But Mother Lakshmi is coming in very opulent way, and even the servants are very opulent. But Lord Jagannath's Daitas, they are just, barely wearing a dhoti actually. So it's just completely, contrast how they both arrive. When the procession arrived, the maid servants of Goddess of Fortune began to arrest all the principal servants of Lord Jagannath. The maid servants bound the servants of Jagannath, handcuffed them, and made them fell down at the lotus feet of Goddess of Fortune. Indeed, they were arrested just like thieves who have all their riches taken away. When the servants fell down before the lotus feet of Goddess of Fortune, they almost fell unconscious. They were chastised and made the butt of jokes and loose language. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's associates saw such impudence exhibited by the maidservants of the Goddess of Fortune, they covered their faces with their hands and began to smile. Swarup Damodar said, there is no egoistic pride like this within the 3 worlds. At least I have never seen or heard of it. When a woman is neglected and disappointed, out of egoistic pride, she gives up her ornaments and morosely sits down on the ground, marking lines on it with her nails. I have heard of this kind of pride in Satyabhama, Krishna's proudest queen, and I have also heard of it in the gopis of Vrindavan, who are the reservoirs of all transcendental mellows. But in the case of the Goddess of Fortune, I see a different kind of pride. She manifests her own opulences and even goes with her soldiers to attack her husband. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, please tell me of the varieties of egoistic pride manifested in Vrindavan. Swarup Damodar replied, the pride of the gopis is like a river flowing with hundreds of tributaries. The characteristics of and modes of love are different in different women. Their jealous anger also takes on different varieties and qualities. It is not possible to give a complete statement about the different types of jealous anger manifest by the gopis, but a few principles may serve as an indication. There are 3 types of women experiencing jealous anger: sober woman, restless woman, and woman both restless and sober. When a sober heroine sees her hero approaching from a distance, she immediately stands up to receive him. When he comes near, she immediately offers him a place to sit. The sober heroine conceals her anger within her heart and externally speaks sweet words. When her lover embraces her, she returns his embrace. The sober heroine is very simple in her behavior. She keeps her jealous anger within her heart, but with mild words and smiles, she rejects the advances of her lover. The restless heroine, however, sometimes chastises her lover with cruel words, sometimes pulls his ear, and sometimes binds him with a flower garland. The heroine, who is a combination of sobriety and restlessness, always jokes with equivocal words. She sometimes praises her lover, sometimes blasphemes him, and sometimes remains indifferent. Heroines may also be classified as captivated, intermediate, and impudent. The captivated heroine does not know very much about the cunning intricacies of jealous anger. The captivated heroine simply covers her face and goes on crying. When she hears sweet words from her lover, she is very satisfied. Both the intermediate and impudent heroines can be classified as sober, restless, and both sober and restless. All their characteristics can be further classified in three divisions. Some of these heroines are very talkative, some are mild, and some are equipoised. Each heroine, according to her own character, increases Sri Krishna's loving ecstasy. Although some of the gopis are talkative, some mild, and some equipoised, all of them are transcendental and faultless. They please Krishna by their unique characteristics. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu felt unlimited happiness upon hearing this description, and he again and again requested Swarup Damodar to continue speaking. Damodar Goswami said, Krishna is the master of all transcendental mellows and the taster of all transcendental mellows, and his body is composed of transcendental bliss. Krishna is full of ecstatic love and always subordinate to the love of his devotees. The gopis are very much experienced in pure love and in the dealings of transcendental mellows. There is no flaw or adulteration in the love of the gopis. Therefore, they give Krishna the highest pleasure. Lord Sri Krishna, who is the absolute truth, enjoyed his rasa dance every night during the autumn season. He performed his dance in the moonlight and with full transcendental mellows. He used poetic words and surrounded himself with women who were very much attracted to him. The gopis can be divided into left wing and right wing. Both wings induce Krishna to test transcendental mellows by various manifestations of ecstatic love. For all the gopis, Srimati Radharani is chief. She is the jewel mine of ecstatic love and the source of all purified transcendental conjugal mellows. गोपीगण मध्ये श्रेष्ठ राधा ठाकुरानी निर्मल उज्ज्वल रस प्रेम रत्न खनी. Radharani is grown up and her character is equipoised. She is always deeply absorbed in ecstatic love and always feeling in the mood of left-wing gopis. Because she is left-wing gopi, her womanly anger is always awakening. But Krishna derives transcendental bliss from her activities. The process of loving affairs between a young boy and a young girl is by nature crooked, like the movements of a snake. Because of this, two types of anger arise between a young boy and a girl: anger with a cause and anger without a cause. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard these talks, his ocean of transcendental bliss increased. He therefore told Swarup Damodar, go on speaking, and thus Swarup Damodar continued. Srimati Radharani's love is a highly advanced ecstasy. All her dealings are completely pure and devoid of material tinge. Indeed, her dealings are 10 times purer than gold. As soon as Radharani gets a chance to see Krishna, her body is suddenly decorated with various ecstatic ornaments. The transcendental ornaments of Srimati Radharani's body include the 8 sattvikas or transcendental symptoms, the 33 Vibhichari bhavas, beginning with harsha or jubilation in natural love, and the 20 bhavas or ecstatic emotional ornaments. Prabhupada details them in purport. Some of the symptoms critically explained in the following verses are Kila Kinchita, Kuttamita, Vilasa, Lalita, Vivoka, Mottavita, Mugdhya, and Chakita. When Srimati Radharani's body manifests the ornaments of many ecstatic symptoms, the ocean of Krishna's happiness immediately displays transcendental waves. Now here, a description of different ecstasies, beginning with Kalakinchita. With these ecstatic ornaments, Srimati Radharani enchants the mind of Krishna. When Sri Krishna sees Srimati Radharani and wants to touch her body, He prohibits her from going to the spot where one can cross the river Yamuna. Approaching her, Krishna prohibits Srimati Radharani from picking flowers. He may also touch her in front of her friends. At such times, the ecstatic symptom of Kilakinchita are awakened. First, there is a jubilation in ecstatic love, which is the root cause of these symptoms. Pride, ambition, weeping, smiling, envy, fear, and anger are 7 ecstatic loving symptoms manifested by jubilant shrinking away, and these symptoms are called Kilakinchita Bhav. So, like there are in detail goes. Can we? Actually, we have almost 75 more verses for this chapter. So, actually, yeah, it basically describes all these transcendental bhavas. It's pretty elevated topics actually, and yeah, all these symptoms Swarup Damodar is describing, and towards the end, there is a talk between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srivas Thakur, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is kind of he starts yeah, maybe we can just read those few jokes. Yeah, till verse 213. No, yeah, till 200, almost like these pastimes are described, these bhavas are described, and then there is this maid servant of goddess of fortune. They allow Lord Jagannath inside. That details are given. So maybe should we like stop or go ahead? Yes. So yeah, they can start. Means if they want to continue with this bhavas in detail, they can start at 175. Otherwise, like 213. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. जय श्री जगन्नाथ स्वामी की जय, श्री बलदेव दादा की जय, श्री सुभद्रा महारानी की जय, श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभु की जय, गॉडेस ऑफ फॉर्चून की जय, शील प्रभुपाद की जय.
What's the next the verse that you stopped? 175. Tomorrow is 170.